What if you're in a toxic relationship? You probably don't want to be the bad guy who breaks up relationships. You may have a similar dilemma, so listen to me carefully now. Allow yourself to walk away from a toxic relationship. Believe that you are entitled to a better life. Many people who come to us for help wonder if they have the right to be happy in life. Such people wonder whether they have the right to want more from life, or whether this current relationship situation has already reached the maximum level regarding happiness, the functioning of the relationship, and overall joy. Is this something they won't jump over in their lives because this is already the maximum, and they simply can't afford anything more in life? They ask what might seem to be obvious questions.
Do I have the right to be happy in life?
Many of us struggle with such misconceptions that we do not deserve this happiness. In many situations, we think that when we live in a toxic relationship, that toxic partner won't let us leave the relationship. Of course, in many cases, this is true. Toxic people can manipulate us, put emotional pressure on us, and not allow us to leave to build our lives anew. A toxic relationship is the kind of trap we fall into up to our ears, and we don't even realize how difficult a situation we are in, and how difficult it is to get out of the trap. It's not always the case that the toxic person causes us to be stuck in this relationship. We are often the break for ourselves, we are our enemies, and do not allow ourselves to leave the relationship. It's not only the toxic partner who keeps us in this relationship, but often, unfortunately, we are the ones who force ourselves into this life. And here comes the first critical point. The point is that to free yourself from a toxic life, from a toxic relationship, from a difficult life situation in general, you must first believe that you have a choice. Because we, unfortunately, often tell ourselves that we don't have that choice. We push ourselves into this helplessness, feeling that we have no control over our lives, that it is simply other people who rule us, that it is the situation that leads us. But we are the ones who have control over our lives, and we bring ourselves into this kind of thinking. No wonder we can't leave a toxic relationship, that we can't change our lives even though it doesn't give us satisfaction, because we feel helpless, powerless, and without any influence on our lives. And this is what we need to change at the beginning, to regain this feeling that we can change and do something in this life. To free yourself from such a toxic relationship and from an unhealthy life, you must first believe that you have this choice, even though your toxic partner puts various forms of emotional pressure on you and drives you into guilt. Because often, it's the guilt that someone very much nurtures in us that keeps us in this relationship. This guilt makes us very much take charge of the other person's life, that we think that this person will break down, that he won't be able to cope, that he will do something to himself, and we sacrifice ourselves for this relationship, just so that we don't feel this guilt that something could happen at a time when you would want to fight for yourself and leave this relationship. Of course, you have to believe that you have a choice, because, just from that, something can change in your life. You first think that you have a choice and can do something differently. It's in this topic that there is always this excessive peer pressure. We often fear what other people will say about our changes. Our clients often emphasize that this peer pressure is so great that it is because of it that they don't know how to live. On the one hand, these people know that they are in a toxic relationship, while externally it looks completely different. Such a toxic person can wear various masks and play in front of our loved ones, and our loved ones even seem to support these relationships. When we try to say anything wrong about this partner, our loved ones say that it's not true, that we need to give ourselves a chance, that we need to forgive this person, and that we need to fight for this relationship. A toxic person can often play before our loved ones and charm them into thinking that our loved ones are the brakes on us ending such a toxic relationship. This only happens because these people often don't know the truth. They don't know how we are suffering in this relationship. Here comes another issue that very often occurs in toxic relationships, which is that of explaining the toxic person to other people, but also to ourselves. Very often we try to explain various situations, alleviate certain situations, explain this toxic partner of ours, and then we are surprised that our loved ones perceive this person to be much better than he or she is. Let's take a look at this behavior of our own. Wasn't it the case that we explained this toxic partner out of various situations, and we were the ones who somewhat influenced this positive image of this person, not to mention what this person does to us in life and what emotions we feel in our relationship with this person? To change anything in your life, you have to believe that you have this choice and answer one crucial question. Do you give yourself this permission to live another better life at a time when you currently feel that you are in this life trap? Unfortunately, people in such a trap, who feel helpless, feel that they have no control over their lives, and this often drowns out any thoughts of change. They don't want to think about how their lives could be different, and they even disregard this problematic situation. They downplay all these problems, sweeping them under the rug because they are so afraid that their life could look different. Ask yourself, do you believe that in this life, you deserve more kindness, treatment, trust, support, and respect? Or do you believe that you deserve more in this life of yours than you have? Because this is where a problem may arise. Maybe it's when you start thinking about all this that you realize that you don't allow such a thought, that things could be different because perhaps your toxic partner has already influenced you so much. Maybe he or she has talked you into believing that everyone lives like this, has such problems, that generally, a different life may be in the movies. Still, life in such an everyday relationship is just what you experience. Toxic people often have such a mechanism that they either cut us off from other people who could show us a different life, a better life, or they show us at every turn that there is only one truth. And it is this truth of the toxic person that tells such a person that we deserve nothing else in life. When you realize that you don't allow yourself to think that things could have been different in your life, that you could have led a better life, had a better relationship, then ask yourself if you accidentally tell yourself that even though it's so hard, that you feel all these difficult emotions, that it's hard to come to terms with certain things, you still believe that you have to wait, that you have to grit your teeth, that somehow it will be, that everything will work itself out. If you believe this, you probably persist in this relationship in life because you don't see any alternative here and even feel that you don't deserve anything more. After all, you can't even imagine anything more. You can't imagine being happier in this life. Such people cannot allow themselves to think that something could change their lives for the better and that they deserve more. They are often people who have sacrificed so much for this current relationship, given so much of themselves, that they feel sorry to lose it all. On the other hand, remember that it's often the financial and personal losses that keep you in this relationship, because since you've done so much for this toxic partner, sacrificed so much for this person, waited so long for this person to change, so then you think you have to wait a little longer, your life will indeed change. And here comes that most important, crucial problem. You have to get rid of this false hope in your life. You have to stop thinking that your life will somehow work itself out, and you have to dig to the source of your problem. When you get to know that source, it may turn out that you have been living up to now with a very fleeting hope that there is little chance of anything in your life changing, because the source of this problem is so serious that it immediately erases that hope that you have been trying to foster in yourself all along, which has also been fueled by a toxic partner, maybe other toxic people who keep us in this relationship and very often prey on that hope of ours. And it is because of this hope that someone has fueled in you, or you have fueled yourself, that this partner of yours will change. On the other hand, analyze various small situations in your life for yourself. How well do you know this person? Do you think in your heart that this person can change? We know from experience that even if this partner tried to show some change, this change was temporary, and only when he felt threatened that this relationship might fall apart. The partner wants to manipulate in a certain way and then tries to show that he has changed. On the other hand, this very quickly ends, and the partner returns to those old behaviors. If you realize that you are living with a selfish person, the first thing you have to accept is to reject the hope that the narcissist will change for you. The second thing is to accept that the narcissist doesn't care about our emotions, and this is difficult for us. Suppose we are emotionally attached to such a person. In that case, if we love such a person, it is tough to admit that this person can play with our emotions with impunity, hurt us emotionally, and doesn't care at all. In contrast, this is how a narcissist functions. A selfish person has no empathy, even for those closest to him, and shows the only forms of empathy when he tries to manipulate someone. When you realize that you are dealing with such a narcissist, then you need to stop ignoring all the manipulation that occurs when your partner plays with your feelings and emotions, when he puts various forms of pressure on you to force this submission on you, to make you change, to make you conform. Thanks to the fact that you know this person's problem, you see what he is like. That is, for example, a selfish person, so in this way, it is much easier for you to get rid of this hope. Remember, however, that this narcissism is only one source of problems, because there can be a whole host of other sources of problems that arise in toxic relationships. It's worth answering this question,
Is my partner a narcissist?
because then, if you get to know your, let's call it enemy, you know what to expect from him. People who finally realize who has been hiding under the mask of their partner begin to make completely different decisions because they can finally answer themselves.
Well, yes. If my partner is a narcissist and I expect him to change for me because he sees that he is hurting me, then it is only a false hope.
The moment you know who is on the other side, you make your decisions. On the other hand, if you want to change anything in your life, even if you're going to process these negative experiences of yours somehow, face them, and come to terms with them, the first thing you have to start with is to believe that you deserve anything more in this life. Only when you give yourself the right to want more from life can you change anything. It is then worthwhile to work more deeply on your psyche. I'll say it one last time. The key to working on ourselves is first to believe that we, in general, deserve more. If we are unhappy, it is not that we are doomed to be unhappy. Before we can be happy, build a better relationship, and do anything for ourselves, we have to give ourselves the right to do it. As long as we don't give ourselves that right, we are stuck. We agree with everything that doesn't make us happy anyway, and we feel powerless. The moment we believe that we deserve something more, new opportunities arise. That's when we take advantage of the different advice in our lives. We take hints from people who show up in this life and do whatever we want. When we think we don't deserve anything more, nothing reaches us. No positive message, no change. It simply all starts from the moment we start giving ourselves such permission. I invite you to the next section. If you liked the material, leave a like and send it to a friend or someone close to you who may benefit from this knowledge. If you want to support our work and help us create more valuable videos, there is a link in the description.